I remember struggling a lot with ingresses and an ingress controller. I was just like, what is this?
Hello, so we are back with one more episode of Cloud Edit Talks, and I know you don't know this guy, but what actually he has built, you know already. So, what actually Daniel is, who is he, and you must have heard this name somewhere. So, going forward, today we are going to discuss a lot of things in the Kubernetes. And if you want to build a successful career in the Kubernetes, cloud and technologies, then this is the guy you should know. And I will guarantee you, after today's talk, you will get like lot of learnings from this, like opportunities also, right? So let's move forward, and I will ask Daniel to introduce himself.
No pressure, no pressure. Thank you very much, Rohit. So thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Daniele. I'm one of the instructors at Learn Kubernetes. And yeah, my day job is to teach Kubernetes. So that's mostly what I do. And I like to write content. I like to produce content that it's mainly, helps the community level up their understandings on Kubernetes. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, awesome. So going forward, I would like to ask Daniel, like we normally do this podcast in this way. So I will ask you, like, till the now, like what you have done in your life and how was your life. And I will not pressurize you to tell everything, but it is like if you want to share some things like how you started the journey into the tech and how you landed till now as a successful Kubernetes person, and like so how successful Kubernetes person, we will introduce it later. But till now, what you have done and how was your journey in the tech, and you can share it from the start of your career also. We are okay with that.
Okay, I think most people might be interested in how I got into Kubernetes. I think the beginning of my career is, I think that's a little bit far because I basically started as I spent a little time programming, but I spent a lot. And after that, I basically focused a lot on design and user experience. So you can, I was a designer back in the days, and then I've got more and more interested in coding my own design, which took me into front-end development and JavaScript. And so, how does someone who designs end up doing Kubernetes? Well, um, after I've done, JavaScript has got very long history, and then we used to write with simple scripts in the front end, and then Node.js came along, and that changed the scene a bit, and that basically, that's basically when I started moving to backend, and then in 2017, I was at the UK government. We were basically helping out other teams, and there was a central DevOps team which was providing a platform to deploy applications. And it was the very beginning of Kubernetes, so we're talking about 1.2. So it was that old that we used to call stateful set pet set. So that was quite a long time ago. And that the challenge I decided was that this platform was quite new. As you can imagine, Kubernetes was new as well.
Yeah.
But not many team were actually capable of using it, right? Because at the time we didn't have as many blogs, we didn't have as many as much documentation. So some of us developers basically got together and started writing content, small articles or workshops to write internally to just level up the understanding for the rest of the teams. And then we started doing this, and we got like a lot of traction. Everyone wants us to come to our internal workshops, that everyone was interested in working with us and deploying to this platform. So that's basically when I realized that maybe this Kubernetes wasn't just something that we had to do within the government. I could actually go out and help other people learn Kubernetes, and that's basically the story of how I started and how the company came to be.
Awesome. So where you were working previously, like
Yeah, before learning Kubernetes, I used to work for the UK government. So that's basically where everything started.
Yeah, so I will not ask you like what you were working actually in the UK government, but do you think like any use case was like where you thought like, yeah, this is something I have never done in life, and I don't think I will do it like any time in my future also. So
I,
we don't want to know about the use case, but yeah, is there any situation like that?
I think in the UK government, I used to work in the Home Office, so that's not a secret. So we used to work primarily with immigration and border control. So I think working for the government is a very interesting experience. I would say I don't want to go too much into details, but I think you work for basically for the nation, right? Whatever you do, whatever impact you have, it's not just your team or some customers. You're basically affecting the life of millions, and it was like a very satisfying sort of jobs from that perspective, because if you do something right, then a lot of people will benefit from it. So I did enjoy the time there.
Awesome, awesome. Like it is really blessing to work for the government, and so yeah, I know what can be the different technologies you have worked with and use cases. So because I also sometimes get a question from it's like when I give the talk in some conference, there is some people sitting in your audience which can be the government specialists, research scientists, and they will ask the questions you have like never heard in your life. So yeah, I know this is tough job, and you must have been the exceptional for sure. So going forward, I would also like to know, like when you are learning about Kubernetes, you learn directly through the use cases and networking and security knowledge you had, or like you took some guidance from your managers, your seniors, or like you learned some books, or you learned some resources available on the internet. I don't think internet will be one of the thing, but yeah, I would like to know from you.
So so my background is primarily development. So even when I approach something which is primarily infrastructure, like Kubernetes, I will basically start to deploy applications, and looking from very much from a developer perspective. So my first steps into Kubernetes were actually deploying applications. And I remember struggling a lot with ingresses and an ingress controller. I was just like, what is this? I mean, I don't even understand what this means. And but I think with time, right, you deploy 1, 2, 3, 10, 100 times, and then you gain confidence, and then you move on, and you tackle something different, right? You tackle the ingress, and then the ingress, you understand how it works, and then you move on, and you say, okay, now I want to deploy a database. What's different? What's different about that? And then you explore more about storage and how it works. And one thing, one things, and then you jump on another, then another. And it's a very deep rabbit hole, and you can go as far as you want. And I tend to like these kind of things. Like I like to understand how things work, right? And then from there, just follow back, and then trace on how the system is built. Um, I think it's just as a way to sort of appreciate what's the effort put into the software, but also to learn as I'm an engineer. What if I need to design something similar? Can I learn? Can I sort of implement some of the things I learned in Kubernetes, for example? I think that's what fascinates me. So generally, the way it works for me is I try to do something, I mostly fail, read the documentation, try again, and then repeat until I actually get it working. I read books, but not a lot. I read books if I know that I'm gonna have said 2 weeks and I need to relax. I'm probably gonna read. I read a book on Rust, so I get sort of an idea on how the system works. But without actually writing the code, it's very very hard for me to sort of get the message and solidify my understanding on the platform or whatever language I'm using.
So to summarize, Dan is a person who loves support, practical learning, not like reading and doing the stuff and then So I also with like familiar with these things only, and I also recommend my audience to learn by doing and learn by means like project learning. So and practical learning. Why? Because when you don't do, you don't apply the things, then you will never get the idea like what actually is that. Just learning through the like seeing the blogs or practical videos, you will see like that things are happening, but inside that also there are a lot of errors like crash loop back offer, and then your life will be like, yeah, it was working smoothly on his computer and his video, but what is happening in my laptop? So that's why whenever you are watching these videos, watching these learnings and stuff, you have to do it practically for sure. So let's not go deep dive into the same, and moving forward. So currently, Dan, so what actually you are working on currently? I am seeing like there is some kind of a term everywhere, learn kits. Everyone in the industry is talking on the same. If they are in the Kubernetes, so what actually is the goal behind the learn kits? How it gets started, and how is your journey currently? And I see like you make nice diagrams and you try to explain it so smoothly and so nicely, like any person who wants to start learning in the Kubernetes, they also can understand. So what is secret behind this? So we will like to know everything. So yeah, go for it.
Okay. So I think right nowadays, I think I try to create content for sort of for things that I see as difficult when we teach Kubernetes, and sometimes I think the questions that we get during our workshops are not just from our students. I believe other people in the community might have the same questions. So I usually jot them down and then collate them together and then do something about it. And that do something about it, it comes in actually different forms. So sometimes I might share like a thread on Twitter, or a post on LinkedIn explaining how etcd works, for example, or how the Amazon EKS and the AWS VPCI with CCNI work. So all of these, sort of way to sort of share what I learned as well, because it looks like I'm an expert. I'm actually not. I'm just learning as you are. I just the only the only things that I do is just sharing whatever I learn in that week or in that month. And sometimes it's a friend like you see on my socials, and then sometimes it's a more complex product. So in the past we've developed a calculator for deciding what kind of instance you should use for your clusters. So usually the question is, should I use a big instance? Should I use a small instance? But these sort of questions sort of have implications on costs and high availability and over subscriptions of your nodes and more stuff like that. So we decided to sort of pull all of these together and create a calculator. And then, other than calculator and threads, then sometimes we see like a need in the community. Like sometimes I was like, okay, I really want to join a conference or an event on Kubernetes, but where can I find it? There is no place where you can actually find this stuff, right? So we decided to put together a website called Q Events. You can go there and you see all meetups, all conferences that are related to Kubernetes. And then recently we also added a special tab where we can click and see all callful papers. So if you are a developer advocate or someone who's interested in participating in conferences, then you can just go there and apply to all of it. So yeah, those are the sort of projects that I'm really interested in.
Yeah, so I will also share the links below for the people, and they can also check like what actually is this thing. So one of the thing which we talked about is the cube.events. It is the website where you can check like whatever events and meetups is happening around your local things and conferences. So go forward and check it out. Other than that, if you have any doubts, you can ask for sure in the comments and stuff. So moving forward, do you have something where like people can check whatever happening in the cloud native world? So like generally what I do, I also have one of the newsletter called as DevOps Advocate newsletter, where I share the recent things happening around the cloud related things. But as you are in the London, as you are in the east, is like region where the recent KubeCon happened. So what actually you do for the audience, and so is there a newsletter? Is there any kind of a report you make? How your report looks? Also, you can share some of the things to the audience as a screen sharing, and they can also view. I really personally like your threads. They are exceptional threads. I also share it in my newsletter. So
Thank you.
you can also, yeah, you can also explain them one of the thread if you want, like how should you learn this thing, and how you make this thing. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, generally, I try to keep myself updated with, there are many changes in cloud native, right? Everything changes all the time. There are new products, new tools, new projects. It's quite an exciting space, but at the same time, it might also feel like overwhelming. Like everything is changing all the time. So I think back in the days when the company started, we said, "Oh, we should publish a newsletter," and I was like, "Well, we don't." A newsletter takes a lot of effort, and if we do one, it has to be like, consistent, right? And it's very hard to do, and it has to be weekly. And at the time, we didn't have resources. Instead, what we decided to do was to collect all of the news that we found and basically publish them on Twitter or LinkedIn. And as the time, passed on, then what happened is the number of news that we collected were like too big. We were just like compiling a spreadsheet and then selecting the links and tweeting them. It was like a massive amount of work. So in the years, what we've done is basically we started building more and more automation to basically collect all of those links, review them, and then publish them on a regular schedule on Twitter. And as the number of links grew, basically what we decided to do is to split the main account for Learn Kubernetes into other brands. So you might have seen Learn Kubernetes on Twitter, and then there is Kubernetes Architect for all GitOps and architecture, Kubernetes architecture. Then we've got another brand called Kubesploit, which is only security, and then K3S Daily, which is basically just K3S news and home labs. So all of these are basically like a way for us to collect all of the articles that have been published during the month and then resharing them with the community. But we also curate them. So we basically just picked the best ones and then we republish them. It took us basically, I think we started in 2017, and then at the beginning we had a spreadsheet, and then a little bit of scripts, and now we have like a full massive automation on top of it. And then recently, what we decided to do is to combine all of these news into a newsletter.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be on socials, you don't have to be on LinkedIn. You can subscribe to the newsletter. We will package all of those for you. But what's best? What's great about this newsletter is that then we use the data that we have from Cube events. So all of these events happening in next week, then we're basically querying that database and adding them to a newsletter. So when we send out a newsletter, not just we give you all the news, we also give you all the events, we also give you all the call for papers. And then because we also have another website called Cube Careers, we also show you the job opportunities for that week as well. So that gives you like a very comprehensive sort of newsletter that touches everything you need as a cloud native engineer. It gives you news, it gives you events, it gives you conferences, a call for papers, it gives you job opportunities if you're looking to change. So that's basically what I've been working on for the past maybe 2 years. So that's like
Wow.
Yeah, the vision was like, okay, we're gonna do Cube Careers first, Cube events, and then the newsletter. So the newsletter is the last piece of the puzzle. But I think overall this is like a really valuable thing that you will get every week, and every week is something usable for you to action. So I hope it worked. I hope people enjoy it. But that was basically the idea behind it.
Yeah, also you have done awesome things in the Kubernetes, and for the people who want to learn this technology. So one of the thing I like the most is like grades I already shared. Another thing, you are really writing nice newsletters. I think it is available on the LinkedIn also. So
Yeah.
if people wants to check out the newsletter, they can directly connect to Daniel. You can search the Daniel on Cates. You will find everything about him, and then you just have to check the newsletter. Where if you don't if you miss the his threads or something, he mentions everything in that also. Another thing is like important is like if you want to land the career in the Kubernetes, and if you want to learn the Kubernetes, if you want to check the conferences Kubernetes, it's just to check everything. Like you have to check the CNCF website for the projects and what is happening around. If you want to check the careers, then you have to go through the Twitter profiles of every companies who are in the cloud native, and then you have to check like if there is any open position. This kind of thing I have done to land my first job in the Kubernetes. So that's why I'm recommending you people. So if you guys can get everything at a one place, then what can be more you want? Yeah. So yeah, this guy is making that happen. So all the best for you. If you want to learn, directly check it website and stuff. So also moving forward about the we already know about learn kits. So what actually you are thinking on this, like people currently exploring the DevOps and cloud native and platform engineering, so they are like they are making the videos like DevOps versus platform engineering, DevOps versus cloud native, that kind of a thing. So what are your views on this? Like, do you think like platform engineering rocks and DevOps is like nothing and stuff? It's like I have my views, but I don't think on this. But yeah, you are the speaker, so you can share on these lines.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure. I definitely want to hear your viewers, hear your views as well. Of course, I've got opinions on what's going on. Um, I'm mostly watching and trying to understand how the community sort of reacts to these change. I think there are the majority of the people I see are embracing the change because it reflects what they are doing and who they are. They can really empathize and connect to the new sort of to being platform engineers or to being the DevOps. I sort of see some people also following the hype, and I think that's normal. I think that's absolutely normal. There is no issue with that. I mean, I've been in sort of in the industry for a little while now, and I can sort of see this happening every once in a while. So every few years you get a new term or a new way to describe a group of people. But I think at the end of the day, I don't know. For me, it's just like, okay. I mean, this is a similar job to what we used to do, or it's a different job. And then sometimes you look at a description of a platform engineer, and actually it's more relatable to something that has nothing to do with it. So I my opinion right now is a little bit wait and see what's going on. I see a lot of people moving into platform engineering. I see a lot of conferences as well, getting a lot of traction. So we sponsor a platform con, and they are doing absolutely great. And yeah, I'm just like very curious to see how this evolves. At the beginning we had DevOps, then the buzzword was SRE. Now the buzzword is platform engineering. Who knows what's next?
Yeah, right. So I also had the same thing. Like I think it is nothing but similar technologies only. Inside everything is similar, but only new set of people are launched, which is like if you create the platform, if you operate on the platform, yeah, you are the platform engineer. But previously you were the DevOps engineer, you are the sysadmin. It is nothing different. It is just a new set of a name they are giving. But yeah, if you know these technologies, if you know these tools, and your career is not in the way, like don't get influenced by the wrong things and stuff. If you are already doing this stuff, then yeah, we can do the platform engineering also. Think
Yeah, I think
technologies and yeah.
I think this is I think this is the right message. If you know the technology, if you know how things work, it doesn't matter how you call yourself. You can be a platform engineer, you can be a DevOps, you can be an SRE. I think yes, there are sort of different ideas on how to approach problems, but I think there is underlying, if you sort of have the skills and sort of the way and the wish to adapt to a different way of thinking or doing, I think that shouldn't be a problem for you to pick up a different methodology. But at the same time, yes, different companies call the same thing with different names, and then for those, changing the name doesn't, it doesn't matter as much, I guess.
Yeah, like some companies are just doing for the marketing trends, so don't worry on that side. So yeah, we don't want to go deep dive into the same, but move forward. And I would like to ask a few more questions to you, but one of the most popular question I can ask you in this current world, which is the AI world, ChatGPT world. So what do you think on this line? Like how you can, if person wants to learn proper DevOps and Kubernetes technologies and Kubernetes, how they can leverage the use of AI, generative AI, and ChatGPT for their work, and if they are also working in some company, is that a good thing to like leverage these things by it, like you have the confidential data, right? So yeah, you can guide on the same.
So I've been, I mean, like everyone else, I guess, I've been following the progress on this sort of technologies, and and of course I tried this as well. I think it's really interesting the way it works and the possibilities. But I sort of tend to agree with what Michio Hashimoto has had to share on his blog. So we tend to see two different kind of two different type of people approaching the problem. You've got someone who is really, using ChatGPT as in, going and asking questions to the network to get answers back, and you get someone who is a little bit more sort of prescriptive, a little bit more defined, and what they do is they use the machine as a way to train answering questions. So Mitchell in his blog post, he basically says, okay, there is like interactive, in asking and questions and answers, and then there is, the rest of engineers which are engineering the prompt, which basically use the large model as a function. So what they do is they write all the inputs on one side, all the outputs on the other, and they just run a loop and they check if the answer is correct. If not, they change the prompt, right? And they engineer the prompt in such a way that it gives them the best results. And on the same side, they also change the underneath model to see which model is the best and which one is the cheapest. I think this distinction is basically, at least this is what I see, and what I got from the article, which I thought it was very interesting, is that at the end of the day, if you're using something like this, you're basically just using the machine as a way to do complex tasks, but in a repeatable manner. Whereas if you're using ChatGPT, as just an echo chamber, then you get back whatever the LLM will give you back. So I initially tried, like everyone else, to go on the chat and try the model. But I think the kind of answers I get, if I try anything Kubernetes, then the kind of answers I get, they tend to be quite shallow. So the knowledge is very imprecise, it's very vague. And as soon as I ask something a little bit more in depth, it just falls over. So I see these advancements at the moment, because I think there's going to be a lot of new features in the future. But I see all these just as a way to extract knowledge from text rather than actually explaining me how a concept works. So I think this is at least the way I use it right now, and I plan to use it in the near future. But I believe with the speed that everything is changing, I think next year will be like a totally different story. I will probably change my mind on that.
Yeah, completely understandable. So, I would like to ask one of the things. This is the diagrams you make and you try to explain in so good manner, right? So, how you do this? This is like too understandable, and it is really easy to understand. So if any person wants to not like high level a kind of a thing, but as you see, nowadays people are trying to understand and learn in public kind of a thing. So if they want to share their journey from the start, and if they want to make the content like this to share on the LinkedIn post or Twitter, but it is not to gain followers or something, but to reach to the long people so they can get their job done. They get more accessible to the people, right audience. So what should they do? Like and this is one kind of a question I get every time. So you are the person. I think you are the only person who can understand these things, and you can guide on the people, like where to actually focus and where to not. Like they should, like what I want to ask, right? So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think I can. So I think I can show you if you want. I can share. So generally, so this is basically the same thread that you're looking at, but in text form. So generally, the way it works for me is I start writing the text or the things I know, and then I try to break it down into tweets. And then when I've got the tweets, I try to illustrate whatever I'm trying to explain. And then at the end, I put everything together and then I publish it. So, the thread you're looking at, it's probably, let's see if I can do a preview. It's probably like this. So the way it works for me is that content goes first. So first I need to understand what I'm trying to learn and what I'm trying to teach. So I need to choose a subject, and of that subject, I need to be very specific of what I want to talk about. So as you can imagine, etcd is just like a very vast piece of software. And the most interesting part of etcd would be Raft, for example. So the protocol that is used to synchronize all of replicas. So I will basically decide that Raft is the topic. So I will basically just think about what kind of things do I need to explain how Raft works. And that will be, okay, what is etcd? Why do we use etcd in Kubernetes? And why is this Raft protocol necessary to do the syncing? So and this is basically the part of research where I would basically browse the internet, try to look at websites or documentation to understand how things work. And I will just jot down some of the concepts or some of the ideas behind it. This is step number one. So at the end of this step, I've got a long text, which is basically like a short blog post. And then part number two is basically this, which it's very small, but I'm going to zoom in so you get the idea. So this is basically this is all my threads and all of the things you see. And the way it works is I will basically have what I call slide, and I will basically just draw them. You can see that everything is just like,
wow, it is like now audience can guess like what kind of efforts you have to put to do this kind of a content. It is not easy. Like it's like writing a newsletter for a week is another task, but making this kind of a content, it requires a lot of patience and lot of like you need to get the understanding of the technology for sure, and then you have to make it understand to the people in their way, like they can understand, right? So awesome job, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the only things I need to add is that, the first threads you do are going to take like 8 hours easily. But then as you progress and you do more, then you realize that some of these parts can be reused. Like, for example, the control plane appears quite a lot in my threads. So if I go and I look at another thread, you can see that I can just copy and paste the existing diagram, but I need to go and customize some of the parts. So I think, if you do this maybe for 1 week, 2 weeks, few months, years, then at the end of the process, then you end up with a catalog of different components that you can put together. Then creating a new thread doesn't take 8 hours anymore. It might take 4 hours. for example. But yes, it does take a huge amount of effort to pull something like this off.
It was really nice to see that thing. So yeah, thanks for sharing
You're welcome.
these things. Yeah, I hope our audience can gain a lot of learnings from this. So yeah, don't need to waste more time of yours. So you can let us know, like, if you want to share anything to the audience, or yeah, we can do it for today.
Okay, yeah, I think that works. That works for me. I think maybe I've got only one more thing to share. I think we are going to publish. We are about to publish a report. So one of the projects that we have is called Cube Careers, where we list all of the job opportunities for related to Kubernetes. And next week is the report is due. So every quarter, what we do is we look at the past 3 months, and we sort of try to give you an idea where the market is headed. So we are interested in things such as how much is the average pay, and where are the office located, and what kind of technology you should learn next to learn your next job. And the next report is due on Monday, and I think for the first time we're seeing 2 very interesting trends that we haven't seen in the past 2 years. So the first one is that actually remote jobs are actually going down. I think this is a sad news. I mean, at least for me, it's a sad news. But what we're seeing is that companies are going for this hybrid office and remote. So they still want you to be remote, but they also want you the flexibility of you coming to the office. Okay, so if you look at the overall remote trends, then this is actually going down. So more and more companies are coming back, are asking you to come back to the office. And the other one, which I thought it was like mind-blowing, is that for the past 2 years, when someone asks for a CI/CD tool in a job description, that tool has always been Jenkins. Okay, but in this report, finally, Jenkins is not number 1 anymore. Can you guess? Can you guess who is number 1 now?
I guess I can't guess. I only know that CD, Argo CD for the continuous deployments, but what was I don't know.
It's it's actually GitLab CI.
GitLab. Oh,
Yes, GitLab CI is now.
yeah. Actually, like most of the companies are preferring the GitLab CI usage more. So yeah,
Yeah.
it can be, yeah.
So it actually, for the first time ever, then GitLab is passing Jenkins as the most popular, as the most requested CI/CD tool, which it's like an historic moment. I've been living with Jenkins for for a long while, so but it's finally nice to see a change in that regard. Yeah, that's all I wanted to share. I think some interesting news when it comes to landing your next job.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for sharing the lot of insights, and it was really nice talking to you. I enjoyed every part of today's talk. So
Thank you for having me.
yeah. So yeah, Miss, I enjoyed everything, and you shared a lot of insights to the audience. So if you guys want to learn more about the Kubernetes and cloud technologies and various things around this platform engineering and everything you want, you can connect to Daniel. You can check their threads, check their newsletters, check their cube.careers, cube.events. Everything is available at one place. And yeah, don't forget to share this video with all of your loved ones, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. So we are trying to make this available to a lot of audience. And another thing which I would like to share with you, KCD Mumbai, Kubernetes Communities Mumbai will be coming soon, and we are proud to announce like LearnKits is one of the community partner for that. And yeah, so thanks for watching this video till now. So bye.
Thank you. Bye.